This is the Art Beauty Podcast, where we are always reaching for truth in beauty. Remember, the brands on the show are not paying to be here, so we get to ask the questions we know you want answers to, because you deserve to be informed so you can make the best decisions for yourself. Hi, everyone. I'm Amber, and today my fabulous co-host is Dr. Iris Rubin. She is a board-certified dermatologist and the founder of SEEN Haircare, a line that I have been using and absolutely fell in love with. Welcome to the show, Dr. Rubin.
Thank you, Amber. It's such a pleasure to be here. I'm excited.
I am so excited too. And, I have to point out for everybody listening, you graduated from a little medical school called Harvard.
You've heard of it? Yeah. In fact, I actually for a long time would be like, oh yeah, I went to medical school in Boston, but now I'm like, yeah, I went to Harvard Medical School.
I would have that. I would have that printed right on a shirt and be wearing that every day. I mean, that is really a very impressive accomplishment in and of itself. And just to be, I think, a woman in the field of dermatology, do you find that challenging? I know that now there's a lot more women, but do you feel like that is still an area that's like male dominated?
It's so interesting that you asked that, because I have a twin sister who actually went to Harvard Business School and I went to Harvard Medical School, and she is such a trailblazer in business. She's my role model. She's the one who I looked at and said, wow, like it's actually acceptable to have a business as a woman and be successful in business, because that's not something I really saw growing up. But I didn't see a lot of the male dominance in dermatology. Although I will say, if you do look at, the leadership, in a lot of these institutions, academic institutions in dermatology, there's still a fair number of men, but there's also, I'd say, a lot of women. I think it's one field where, the balance is pretty good when it comes to men and women. So that's been, fortunate.
Can we just gloss over the fact that you and your twin sister, both Harvard grads? Boy, your parents must be very, very proud.
I hope so. I think they're proud. I don't, we're the kids of immigrants. And I feel like when you grow up in a situation where you want things to be a little bit different, we grew up sharing, we go out to dinner as a family and share a Coke at Roy Rogers. And I was like, I think I want it to be a little different. And my sister did too. And I think that's why we were really, high achieving.
I absolutely love that. And congratulations to you both, because that is no small feat. And it really does take a lot of personal motivation and personal responsibility to make it all the way to Harvard. But we are here today to talk about your fabulous hair care line. And, before we get into it, you've created this line, from what I understand, for a few different reasons. One of them, well, actually, why did you create the line?
So I actually never sought to create a line. I was practicing, I was heading the laser program at Children's National. So I was treating babies and kids with disfiguring birthmarks and scars in the operating room in the clinic. But I myself was getting acne. Every time I would get my hair done and go to the salon, I would notice that I would break out a few days later. And I was like, what is going on here? And quickly realized that there's this, I think, very under-recognized connection between hair care and the health of the skin. So actually took about 4 years to develop our initial products with this idea that hair care is really skincare, because we ended up doing a study showing that anytime you use a hair care product, it gets on your skin, but it also can stay on your skin for hours. So when you use shampoo and conditioner, you rinse and forget about it, but your skin doesn't. We actually published a study showing that it can be on your skin hours later. That's your scalp, your face, your back. So, SEEN was born out of a problem solution, not so much, it's not really a marketing story. It's just there really was a need for good for skin hair care.
It's so funny that you're bringing this up, because I just did on Wednesday a Talk Shop live show with New Beauty, and we were talking about different products. And I mentioned in the show, I was like, there was one for acne, and I was like, listen, I don't mean to be TMI, but I will sometimes get it like down the back of my legs, like in the butt area. And I was like, I'm convinced it's from doing spin classes, even though I shower afterwards. And one of the people piped up online and they were like, it could be your hair care, because your hair care is sitting on, and maybe the conditioner isn't being washed all the way off your body. And my mind was blown. And then when I made the connection between the fact that you were going to be on this week, I was like, wow, okay, this is something that I don't think a lot of people put two and two together.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, having like, you can get pimples not just on your face. I think people are less vocal sometimes when it's on their body, their
Yeah.
chest, their back, you know, the butt area, like all of those are common places to get acne. And if you are acne prone and you're just having these products rinse down these areas with ingredients that can clog your pores, that's not, you know, the best approach. And I started SEEN because I was getting acne from hair care, but it turns out hair care can also contribute to eczema, dry scalp, hair shedding. So, you know, we really have all these benefits with SEEN for a variety of skin conditions, because once you optimize hair care to be good for your skin, you know, it's really helpful in acne prone skin, eczema prone skin, dry scalp, and even hair shedding associated with female pattern hair loss. But I think, Amber, your point is it's kind of like this sneaky thing, ooh, like I didn't think about my hair care.
Totally. You know, okay, so I'm glad you hit on it, and I was going to let you do that, but what really caught my eye when it came to your hair care line was that you have a fabulous study I would love for you to share in regards to hair shedding, which I feel like, I don't know if it was COVID, but so many people, so many women in my life that I've been talking to, whether it be stress or diet or hormones or COVID, in the past few years have started to notice a lot more hair shedding. Tell us about this study.
Yeah, absolutely. So we were actually approached by the person who was the head of the Harvard Hair Loss Clinic at Mass General to look at fragrance-free SEEN specifically in women with female pattern hair loss. So that's the genetic type of hair loss. And the reason is that there are certain allergens in conventional hair care that have been associated with some types of hair loss. And so SEEN was free of a lot of really all those major allergens, including fragrance has been a contributor for some people for hair loss. So it was a 6-month randomized controlled study, which, you know, we consider SEEN to really be a science beauty crossover, because I don't think there's very many hair care brands that do a randomized controlled study at Harvard, but we were so excited by the results. So after 6 months of using fragrance-free SEEN shampoo and conditioner, the hair shedding in women with female pattern hair loss was reduced by 44%. So it's crazy. It's really crazy. And
It's amazing.
You know,
yeah.
Yeah.
44%.
Yeah. And over the course of a year, that's like saving more than 10% of the hairs on your head just by switching to a cleaner shampoo and conditioner. And by clean, you know, I don't just mean go to Whole Foods and get something organic. I mean, something that is, you know, SEEN is specifically designed to be good for skin. And the reason that matters for hair health is your scalp is skin. It is the home for your hair follicles, which are the manufacturing plant of your hair. So it just makes sense that if you optimize the scalp, you optimize the environment for the hair follicles, and you get stronger, healthier hair. So that's really like the story behind SEEN. And, you know, I'll see things like all these scalp scrubs and exfoliants, and, you know, I see that and I'm like, you know, if you just clean up hair care so that it's not clogging the pores, it's not having these irritants and allergens, like, you know, maybe you don't need to do all that cleanup afterwards.
Right. Okay. So I have been using now the products only for a week and a half. You can see they look barely touched because I try to wash my hair as little as humanly possible before my husband's like, it's time. But one of the things that I noticed, and I don't know if it's because my hair's longer, I took a social media video today of my brush after one brushing of it without you know, at the sort of start of using this, and then my shower drain today and what it looked like. Sorry, it's going to be disgusting, but I'll post it after, you know, using this for a little bit longer, because I am interested to see. I do have a question though. I have here the fragrance version, and I got to tell you, I love the fragrance.
Yeah, me too. Actually, I use that version too.
So does this version not affect the hair shedding?
So we did this study at Harvard in female pattern hair loss, specifically with fragrance free. We haven't studied the scented products, but what I will say about for hair loss specifically, what I will say though is or hair shedding, that all SEEN products are clinically tested to be sure that they won't clog pores, and also safe for sensitive skin. So they all promote the health of the follicle. Yes, and that's a study that we've considered doing, just looking at the scented products for hair shedding, and probably should do, but we only like to
Please
speak
do.
about. Yes, I know, you're right.
Because they're
It's
so
overdue, Amber.
they are so lovely, and not only is this line, we've addressed the fact that if you are somebody who's suffering from acne, bacne, make sure that you're considering your hair care products, because these, by switching over to a clean line like this, you are alleviating some of that. If you're using the fragrance free, now I know it was for very specific with women who have female, what was it? Female pattern hair
Female
loss,
pattern hair loss.
right? But again, listen, for me these days, anything is worth a shot. I did see another really interesting fact here, and I want to make sure that you are one of 12 hair care brands to receive the NEA seal of acceptance. One of 12, when I can't think of how many hair care brands out there. What does that mean?
So we have to apply. The National Eczema Association has the seal of approval, where they're looking for products that are safe for sensitive skin, and good for people with eczema prone skin. And again, this pertains to our fragrance-free products that we have the National Eczema Association seal of approval. It's an interesting point about the scented, because like I have very sensitive skin and I love the scented. So people always ask, if you have sensitive skin, do you have to avoid fragrance? Well, some people are fragrance sensitive, but not everyone. Like sensitive skin really is kind of like a signature that's different for every person, what they're sensitive to. But the National Eczema Association seal of approval really is just that stamp saying, this is great for sensitive skin, for eczema prone skin. And we just recently also got skin safe seal for sensitive skin, also for our fragrance-free shampoo and conditioner, and for magic serum. But it's really just what SEEN is about, which is about just being not only clean, vegan, luxury hair care, but also realizing that hair care is skincare. And so if you have acne, if you have eczema, you shouldn't have to worry about your hair care products exacerbating those conditions. So that's really what it's about.
Before we get into it, and I do want to discuss the products because they really are true luxury products. Are these products safe for people with colored hair, color treated hair, with people or people who have chemically treated hair? So whether that is something like a perm or relaxed, and most importantly, keratin.
Yeah, absolutely. So they are color safe, keratin safe. We don't have salt in them, and they're sulfate free. So yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate you saying that they are amazing hair care products, because when we launched, it took us over 4 years to formulate our initial products, because we had to know that it would be amazing hair care. And hey, by the way, also has all these skin benefits. But it was just super important to us that we be amazing hair care. And, our chemists that we worked with initially, like, it's got to be free of sulfates, silicones, phthalates, parabens, dyes, gluten, and have these amazing hair benefits and have these skin benefits. So it was, a lot.
It's hard.
It was a lot. It was hard. And it still is. I mean, we have, every folder I'm about to hold up is a formula that's in development. We've had some formulas in development for a few years, actually. So we won't launch anything until, we're really happy with the hair and the skin benefits.
I love that. I respect that. I got to say, so people who listen to this know that I work with New Beauty, and a benefit of that is I get to try a lot of things, and it's hard for me to find really nice sulfate-free products that lather. So when I used your shampoo for the first time, I was blown away, because not only did it lather, but it also gave me kind of that squeaky clean feeling that I think a lot of people like, but that you don't find a lot of the time with sulfate-free shampoos.
Amber, thank you for saying that. I sometimes I'll say, like, I don't even have to say anything about us being dermatologist founded, all the skin benefits. Like, one of the big differentiators is just the fact that SEEN shampoo is sulfate-free, foams, and smells amazing. Like, that in and of itself, I think, is really unique. So I was using a shampoo beforehand that's a major brand, but I was always bummed out that it wasn't foaming, and I'm a dermatologist. I know that it doesn't have to foam to work, but
right,
it's still, you feel like you want it to foam to feel clean and to enjoy the experience. So I'm totally with you on that point.
Sometimes, listen, let's be honest, you don't need it to foam to clean, But I find that sometimes when they don't foam, I'm using a lot more because I feel like I need multiple shampoos. Because when it doesn't foam at all, like I do, so I don't wash my hair much. But when I do multiple washes. Because I like to make sure, the first one is just to get all the disgusting stuff off. And I feel like the second one is actually now cleaning my scalp, cleaning the hair, doing what it needs to do. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that a bad way to do it?
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
Depending on like what's been going on with my hair, sometimes I will do a double cleanse. After I get my hair colored, I'll often do a double cleanse because I just don't like the smell of
The
the
smell.
of hair color. But no, I think that is, totally reasonable. And people always ask like how often should I wash my hair? And it's so individual. It
Yeah.
just depends on, your hair type, your moisture levels, if you've been working out a lot, like so many different factors. So I'm not someone who says, I think some people actually need to wash their hair every day, and some people can go like a week or longer.
Yeah. No, no.
But I do think people need to wash their hair. Like the one thing I will say, sometimes people will just dry shampoo, and I don't think that's healthy. I think you do have to wash your hair periodically.
I don't, I used to when I was younger use dry shampoo. I don't use it at all anymore. I don't like the feeling. I don't. But yes, I know. It's funny. I actually have very fine hair, but can manage to go, 3 days. After 3 days, it's time to get in and get that scrubbed. My husband, on the other hand, has very fine hair. He has to shower every day. And I think sometimes too, it's the difference between male oil production, the way that females are.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
totally. Yeah, you have beautiful shiny hair, and that's awesome that you can go 3 days. We do have a lot of people that tell us they can go longer once they switch to SEEN, and I think it's because we don't have silicones, and silicones. I'm not someone. I think a lot of times in the press, an ingredient is labeled as good or bad. Like I think it's way more nuanced than that for many ingredients, and I don't think silicones are bad. But I think that they can trap other ingredients because they're occlusive on the skin, including oils and your natural sebum. And I think the fact that SEEN is silicone free contributes to the fact that people can go longer. We hear that a lot, in terms of washing their hair.
nice. I'm okay. So this is like bad, but I am a fan of silicone. I got it in my boobs. I like it in my face products. I am. I know it's not great for you,
It's not, I really think it's a
but
disservice. Like when people
it
say
is.
this ingredient is just all, it's like a lot of time more nuanced. And we removed silicone from SEEN only because I think it can mix and also trap other ingredients on the skin
Yeah.
and clog pores. But there's many of wonderful products that, have silicone. It wasn't a fit for what we're doing with SEEN.
No, and so okay, so going back to this, I love the smell, love that it's shampooed. I have to mention I'm sorry. So this is the shampoo. You can see, you can kind of see in here. It's like I've used about like this much in 2 weeks. Very, very small amount because it foams so well. The conditioner. The first time I put the conditioner in, I put it in and I was kind of like, doing other things because I like to sit in a minute. And when I went to feel my hair, so some hair, like you can feel the conditioner. I thought, oh, have I not conditioned my hair? I then put more in and I realized since then my hair just soaks it right up. Is there a reason for that? Like it almost didn't feel like, don't get me wrong, my hair feels conditioned and lovely, but it almost didn't feel in the shower like, that thick feeling
Yeah,
of
I
like,
think it's the lack of silicones actually that you're feeling. And our deeper conditioner, which I have here, feels much more like a traditional conditioner. It has, I think the word is slip.
okay, yeah,
But yeah. But sometimes I think, the other reason we don't use silicones in our hair products is that they can build up on the
yeah.
hair and they give you this like initial feeling of hydration and shine, but then they build up and then it can lead to dullness. But I think what you're feeling, and it's a really good point to make, is that it can feel a little different the first couple washes if you're not used to using a silicone-free product, less so with our deeper conditioner, but more so with our regular conditioner. And it's because it's not creating this sort of, coating of the hair. It's more addressing the hair health, without this like silicone coating.
I love that. And again, all sulfate free. Well, the conditioner wouldn't have sulfate, but the products are sulfate free, safe for everybody. Okay, which one should we discuss next? Okay, let's talk about this magic hair serum. No. Let's talk about the scalp.
Okay.
So I feel like scalp health has become so part of like the beauty vernacular lately, and it is really having a moment. And we have tried so many different scalp serums. I find that there's most of them. I'm not going to say all of them, but most of them I find to be very heavy, very greasy, and weigh the hair down. I was blown away because I'll tell you, the first day I did this, I was like, I'm going to put it to the test. I shampooed, I conditioned, and I used all of them, in like a healthy amount. I've now figured out
Yeah.
the right balance, but it wasn't greasy. It didn't weigh my hair
Yeah.
down. I mean, I used it this morning and like there's none of that grease. So tell us about this serum. Why did you
Yeah. So
create
this
it? What's in it? Yeah.
For sure. So the serum, so when we launched SEEN, I shared my story about getting acne from hair care products. Love your pink nails, by the way. I love, love, love. I love pink. My sister teases me. I only write on pink paper because I think it's,
I used
yeah.
to, when I was in an office, only use pink pens. I'm like your very traditional, grew up with Barbies, love everything that's pink. It is my signature color.
I love it.
Okay.
Mine too. Mine too. So we had so many people tell us that their scalp was so much better with switching to SEEN, and people had improvement in dry scalp, and so we actually ended up doing a dermatologist graded clinical study where we gave people SEEN shampoo and conditioner, the scented ones, to use for a month, and 93% of people with dry scalp had improvement by dermatologist grading, and 73% felt their scalp was calmer. So, I think a lot of people with dry scalp, they may not necessarily want to use medicated products. And so this product was really to support anyone who's got, a dry scalp, who wants to improve the appearance of flakes or some discomfort on the scalp. And it's really, really an amazing product because it's got these plant-based actives that really deliver these results of improving the appearance of flakes, helping balance the scalp microbiome, and has this, as you said, very lightweight feeling to it. So it's unique. I don't know of a lot of other products like it. So it's, again, it's not a substitute for a medicated shampoo, but I think a lot of people, who have dryness and associated flaking, there's two groups. There's people who would benefit who may actually have dandruff, but there's also
Right.
people who just have dryness, and
Yeah.
there's not that many really great products for those people who just have like dryness, irritation from hair products. And so this was meant to meet that need.
I always felt bad because, when you think about the medicated shampoos, nobody has made like a really luxe version of that, right? So what was the blue? There was like not the Selsun blue, but there was the other one that was like that you would get for dandruff when you were younger. You'd go to the
Yeah, there's a few medicated ones that are, from some of our, luxury competitors. But I think what's awesome about the Scalp
Oh, there
Restore Serum
are?
is also,
So there are like nicer luxury ones? Because I feel like
there's
I've never heard of them.
I've never tried them, but they're still medicated. So they may have salicylic acid, which can be drying or irritating. And the Restore Serum is really, I'd say, more a holistic way to address the
Right.
dryness, being drug-free. I'm
Right.
having these natural actives to help address the dryness in the scalp microbiome.
You brought up a good point, and actually, I meant to address that at the very beginning of the podcast, especially when we were talking about the the hair shedding.
Yeah.
All of your products are non-medication, right? Or gosh,
Yeah,
it's been a
they
day,
are.
right?
They're all non-medicated.
Non-medicated.
They're drug-free. We may have active ingredients, but they're not considered medicated or drugs. They're like plant-based actives that have functional benefits.
That is amazing. Because as I was thinking that, I'm like, oh, I wonder if it has anything like similar to a Rogaine or, just like a lighter bit of that. But it's nice to know that these are not that. Okay. So then there is this magic hair serum. This you use sort of mid-length to end. Tell us about this. This is beautiful too, because I was expecting when I first opened this and read this, I was expecting more of like an oil. This is not. This is like a very, very light texture.
Yeah, I don't know. The magic serum is probably my favorite product because I actually have very frizzy hair naturally, and I actually have curly hair naturally too. But a lot of the hair smoothing products can just, as you mentioned, be very heavy. They can contribute to a lot of acne. And so SEEN Magic Serum is magic because of all the benefits it delivers, and it's just 3 naturally derived ingredients. It's squalane, which is commonly seen in a lot of skincare because it's just this amazing plant derived, sustainable, natural emollient. So it's bringing in the hydration. It's got something called hemisqualane or C1315 alkane that's also plant-based, that's reducing frizz. And then it's got an olive-based ingredient. So it's got anti-frizz, shine. We have a study showing 81% less breakage with a single use. It's got heat protection up to 450 degrees. It's really like the, kind of miracle all-in-one product. And in fact, we had this product on an Ulta Beauty Steal a couple of weeks ago, and it sold out on the Beauty Steal. So it's really, I'd say one of the most, amazing products. And I love all our products. And I must have tested probably 20 oils before we actually ended up with these ingredients. So, it looks simple because it's 3 ingredients, but there was a lot of, trying the, different ingredients and oils just to get to this point.
Well, it's gorgeous because when I was looking at this, I was thinking and I was reading the direction, and it's really meant for like, the frizz, and it's a beautiful finisher. And I immediately thought, look, it's going to be oily, it's going to be greasy, but you saw that I just put that in my hand, 0 grease, 0 oil. And it doesn't have that thick, clumpy feeling that you can sometimes get. The last product in terms of the hair care line was the Blowout cream. So why did you decide to do a Blowout cream?
I Blowout cream because I think so many of these hair smoothing products that are full of ingredients that are can clog the pores and just lead to acne and breakouts. And so Blowout cream is just a really lightweight, hydrating ingredient that has heat protection. It's got, we love to use, our philosophy is to use many natural ingredients and combine it with safe synthetics. So it's effective and clean. And a couple natural ingredients, we use carob tree in the Blowout cream, which strengthens the hair. We use a moringa extract, which has UV and pollution protection for the hair. So it's just this amazing product to use if you blow out your hair, but also some people use it to just air dry, and I will sometimes use it to air dry as well, to help reduce frizz and just have that, again, those benefits of the UV pollution protection as well.
I'll have to try that because like I said, I'm a lazy girl. So, and I prefer to shower at night. So sometimes when I'm showering at night, and if I know I don't have to style, or if I don't have an event the next day, I will throw it up in a bun. The worst thing you can do to your hair while it's wet. And then kind of take it out when I get in bed. When I wake up the next morning, sometimes it's like, it looks like a lion's mane.
I love that you say that you're a lazy girl. It's amazing that I own a hair care line because I don't like doing my hair. My hair's in a ponytail right now. I don't wear makeup. But my thing about SEEN is that it's really about making it a choice if you want to wear makeup, or a choice if you want to do your hair. And I feel like, if your skin looks good and your hair is healthy, then if you're not wearing makeup and you're putting it in a ponytail, at least you can feel comfortable being seen. So it's really just about making it a choice if you want to glam up and do your hair and makeup, but giving, because for me, if I'm broken out or my hair is frizzy, I'm like this, like, I don't want to be seen. So that's really what the name is about.
Oh, super cute. I love that. You want to be seen, and going back to what you're saying before about like not having the silicones, I also think that if you're starting with good products, like you can extend that time so that, for example, I had to blow out my hair this morning. I won't do it again until Sunday. Like, it's Friday today. I just won't even worry about it, even if I'm working out, even if I'm doing something, because I feel like I had a really good base without having to add like a lot of other product into it.
Yeah. And I think that,
Oh,
go
sorry.
ahead,
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think like what you're hitting on is also like, we believe, and I really believe in fewer, better products rather than layering and layering. And I think, if you're like layering on all this stuff to get your hair look as beautiful as that, that can make it like build up more, and you have to wash your hair the next day because it's greasy or you've got buildup. So, I'm a big fan of just fewer, better products.
So, because I keep it real here, so people have listened. So I love Orbay. Orbay is a fabulous line for me.
Beautiful.
It's not for her. Beautiful line. The reason I was turned on to it is my former podcast co-host, Ryan, owned a hair salon, phenomenal hairdresser. He did my hair for over a decade. And he was like, what sold him on Orbay as a hairdresser, he would be shampooing clients' hair. And he said it was the only thing that didn't dry out his hands. And that was like a whole, like, oh, game changer. Like there must be something about this shampoo. If they are doing this and if they have their hand in water all the time, if they're washing, there's got to be something good about it. So there's only been 2 other hair care lines that have taken the place in my shower with our bay. I'm just going to tell you that yours is one of them. This will be
Oh, thank
one
you.
that, yeah. And, you know, not to listen, it's a very personal thing. Like people will shampoo all of this stuff. People love fragrance. People don't love fragrance. Some people like a floral, some people like a fruity. It is a very personal thing, but I was just, to be honest, I wasn't expecting a lot and I was actually blown away.
Well, that means so much. And, you know, Orbe is gorgeous, smells amazing. And, you know, on the whole scent thing, you know, our philosophy is also, it's a choice. Like
Yeah.
I'm the person who, like, I used to buy the pink herbal essence for the smell. That's like how we
Oh my
love
God, you
pink,
just brought me back to like middle school. And you would
right? But
smell that all day. I mean, that must have been so bad for us, but it smelled so good.
yeah, so I just
But
think, but
you're,
I think some people, like, I'm still a scent, you know, scent driven for hair care, but then there's so many people that can't tolerate fragrance either
yeah.
because they're allergic to it. They may get a migraine, their partner may get a migraine. I can't tell you, it surprised me actually how much fragrance-free SEEN has taken off. People tell us all the time it's life-changing, game-changing, and they'll say, you know, my hair looked like straw before because I just couldn't find a product that delivered those hair benefits and was fragrance free. So that's been really amazing to see, you know, how SEEN really has been life changing, both the scented and the fragrance free, because there just isn't a whole lot like it.
Yeah, I hate to keep doing this. I didn't so today I just did like a very rough blow dry. I didn't put any curling iron through it because I feel like sometimes that can be like, you put a curling iron through hair, I feel like it's always going to look good. But I really wanted people, if you're watching this right now, just to see it. It's soft, it's moving. And I've used, it was the shampoo, the conditioner, the blowout cream. I also did the scalp this morning on the top. And then I did the magic hair serum. So all of these products combined did not make my hair feel weighed down, greasy. I'm really impressed. Wait, can we just take 30 seconds though? Do you remember Aussie Scrunch Spray?
It was in a purple bottle, right?
So good. I mean, it's so disgusting. It was basically like putting like Elmer's glue in your hair, but it smelled. I loved it.
I don't know if I ever used that because my hair was so, my hair is actually very curly, but it was like I was always trying to, like, I don't know, tame it. I remember using finesse mousse and you know, all these different
Oh,
products.
girl,
Yeah.
no. Do you remember? I mean, maybe I'm just like older, way older than you, but like when they had the haircut, you had bangs and you would try to get them like super high,
Oh yeah,
that
yeah.
high
So
overlook.
one went up and one went down. I
Oh, or the
totally,
one
yeah,
went up and the one went down. Oh my God. OMG. I was just
yeah.
home and my dad was like, should we keep all these pictures? I was like, burn them immediately. Burn them immediately. This was not a good look. Yes, you would curl them down, curl them up. Paula Abdul was like, oh my God. That was the
Yeah,
time of Paula Abdul. That's all I could say.
I
Sorry, I
have
just needed to.
many photos like that for sure.
And my sister, God bless her, she's was like a teen in the 80s. 80s was a wonderful time though. Okay, what I also found interesting too, right? So did you start the line with hair care only?
Yes.
Okay.
You know, I think there's really, I don't know of any other dermatologist founded hair care line. There
Yeah,
may exist. I can't think of any, but it's just, to me, that's kind of crazy because again, your hair comes out of your scalp and scalp is skin. And
right.
so the scalp just needs to be optimized. And, you know, people say that SEEN is leading the skinification of hair, but this whole idea that hair care can affect your face and your body, you know, I think it's just an untold story that people really like need to know and just make better choices. But yeah, we started with hair care and then we have 2 skincare products currently that really came out of, like, we had our body wash. We had so many people who told us, yes, that's our scented body wash, that their body acne, we did actually a clinical study, and 70% of people with body acne improved after using scented SEEN shampoo and conditioner for 8 weeks. So it's crazy.
70%.
Crazy. Yeah. But it makes sense. Like, we started talking about like what some people might be embarrassed that they have pimples on their butt, but it's all, rinsing down. We didn't look at that area, but it would be interesting to have looked. But so many people improved. And so the body wash, we would get questions like, what should I be using on my body? And it is crazy the feedback we're getting. We've won a bunch of awards for our body wash. Our fragrance-free one has won a couple men's awards. I mean, it's been really amazing.
What I was gonna say too is that it's also a nice line to have in the shower because it's not overly girly. So I feel like, there's some product. I mean, listen, my husband now will use everything. He does not care. He will let me brush on mat. He doesn't really have a choice. Let's put it this way.
Right.
But it's nice. And I feel like sometimes when products are unisex and you're like, or if you're cohabitating or if you have a roommate or brothers and sisters or like people who are sharing a shower, maybe mother, son, it's nice to have products that the whole family can use.
I think that's like, I love that you said that. SEEN really is for the whole family. We actually hear all the time, my partner stole it, my husband stole it. And it was intentional that, the fragrance not be super floral. It's a clean, fresh scent that anyone will be comfortable using. And then, we also wanted our products, even though they've got all these amazing skin benefits, not to scream like, I have acne, I have eczema, just to be like, I'm making a better choice, because it's really about like, almost like you tell your girlfriend, like, hey, look what I discovered, like, hair care that's even better, better because it's good for your skin, but not screaming like, oh my gosh, I've got this skin issue, because some of this is, I think, for some people, like embarrassing to talk about. They don't want to announce, when you look in the shower, that they've got dry scalp or flaking or, whatever skin condition. Yeah.
Or back knee or butt acne. Only I will. Listen, I'll tell it like it is. Always, always, always.
Yeah.
It happens. But it's funny because I was saying on this show, we were talking about this leave-on acne treatment mask, which is lovely, also developed by a dermatologist. And, I was saying, what's so nice about this is that it's not colored. So, it dries clear. It's a water gel-based formula, and you can put it kind of anywhere. And then one of the audience popped in the chat and was like, you should consider it could be your shampoo and conditioner sort of leaving, I guess, clogging your pores. And I was like, oh my goodness, I am actually doing a podcast on this. Thank you so much. Clearly this is something I don't know. And going back to like your scalp is skincare, back in the day, Ryan, who's been my bestie forever, I was getting like really dry up here, not dandruff, but just dry and flaky, especially during the winter. And he's like, take your super fancy skincare and rub it in there. Cause he's like, people don't realize like your scalp is your skin.
Smart.
That said,
so smart.
Those face creams are not ideal for interacting with the hair, but if you were dealing with dry scalp, but I love now that we have products, and there were at a time where more and more people like yourself are formulating products specifically for the scalp, for our hair care. Because I think also too, for those of us who are blessed and lucky enough to have hair, and I do consider it a blessing and luck, because I know so many people who struggle with that. Sometimes what we can't see, we don't really think about or pay attention to, right? So if you can't see your scalp, sometimes you just, it kind of gets like left in the dark. So
yeah, no, for sure. And, I think what you just said about having hair being a blessing is so true. I mean, my mom actually has really significant female pattern hair loss. She actually bought a wig, but it was right as we were launching SEEN. And I was like, Mom, just try SEEN and see, if it helps you. And for her, she was able, we have like amazing volume benefits for SEEN and anti-breakage benefits. And she was able to get the volume that she needed where she didn't feel like she had to wear the wig, which was really amazing. So I think that's one thing that, is worth mentioning, that also if you have thinning hair, SEEN, when you use our shampoo, conditioner, blowout cream together, has been shown to increase volume by 300%. Again, I think it's the lack of silicones, but yeah, not everyone's blessed with a full head of hair. And how do you manage it if you're not? Definitely, using products that help to minimize shedding. There's medicated products that are great to use as well, but also using products, anything that can help with volume, I think is really huge, and having the hairs that you do have look as good as possible.
We've had a scalp experts on talking before about alopecia. I had alopecia areata, which is just one section for me. Unfortunately, it was like literally right here. I lost an entire patch of hair. I called Ryan up immediately. I'm like, what do I do? And he's like, you part your hair to the other side, girl, and just deal. But it was, for me, it was only one small patch.
Yeah.
but it's traumatic when that happens. And I think for women who are losing massive amounts of hair, that it's traumatic. So I just say it's lucky if you got it. So if you got it, you got to take care of it.
I think that's super wise on that, super wise. And
Okay.
on Ryan's tip about putting the lotion here, when I first created SEEN, I asked our chemist, I'm like, what's the difference between a lotion and conditioner? What's the difference between like a face wash and shampoo? But I think that the lines blur a bit. I mean, I used to put lotion in my hair before I created SEEN because I knew it wouldn't break me out, and I was breaking out from all these other hair care products. But yeah, it would be great as anti-frizz. It was, a wonderful. It's a great solution in a pinch if you've got frizz and you forgot your magic serum or your blowout cream, just put a little lotion in.
I love that. And Ryan, if you're listening, my beauty bestie, I mean, I listen to you. I listen to you. I learn from you, and I love you. So is there anything, before we let you go, that's like new that you're working on? I saw that giant stack, but is there anything that you're kind of like, that you could share or you're excited about?
No, we are definitely leaning into everything we can do to promote healthy hair growth. So I can say that, and there's a few products along those lines, and also just continuing to build out our hair care line to make it a full line, and also some skincare products. So those are really, the three areas. I think SEEN's a very sticky product. Once people use it and they're like, oh my gosh, this is improved or this is improved, they really just want to use SEEN forever, tell their friends about it, and ask us for more and more products. So the goal is really to have just like all the hair care that you would want to use would be through SEEN. And we have some other exciting products that I probably can't give specifics on, but definitely a big innovation pipeline.
I love that, love that, love that. I want to thank you so much, Iris, for being on with us today, Dr. Rubin. But you know what? I asked her if I could call her Iris. So
oh no, I prefer. But yes, thank you so much, Amber. This is such a pleasure. And we have to send Ryan SEEN because he seems like a super smart hairstylist. So
he
Ryan, if
is
you're
a
listening,
superstar.
we're sending you a package.
Amazing. I will let him know. And speaking of that, if people want to know more about SEEN, if they're ready to purchase SEEN, where should they go?
Absolutely. So helloseen.com is our website. We're also on Ulta.com. We're in about half of Ulta stores, and @SEEN Skin and Hair is our Instagram. Yeah, we love Ulta. Love, love, love Ulta.
Amazing. Who doesn't love Ulta? I go in there
I
and
know,
it is like
right?
my play. Like if I have 5 minutes and I'm walking by an Ulta, I'm like, let me just go look, because it is like my Candyland.
Can you actually go look? I feel like I've never walked out of an Ulta without buying something.
Oh, if you saw, I mean, listen, I work in beauty. I work with new beauty. If you saw, my apartment is an Ulta. My husband's like, get this stuff out of here like as fast as you can, because it's just, it's a wonderful, I'm saying it's like a bad thing. It is the best part of my job. I get to try everything, but no, there's so much stuff in my little apartment that I'm like I've become very good about, not purchasing things that I don't love.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I'm glad to know that if I need my SEEN immediately, there's an Ulta right down the street and I can go hopefully get it. Again, thank you so much for being on here. And of course, everybody listening at home, if you have questions that you want me to pass on to Dr. Rubin, if you've got questions that you want to know about hair care, if you want to know about my experience, you can always write me at hello@artbeautypodcast.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Don't forget, I will be posting a social video in a couple months. We're going to see how much that hair shedding goes down. Fingers crossed. But you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Art Beauty Podcast. And as always, we will see you next Tuesday, hopefully with a little bit more fabulous hair. Bye.